Yo, welcome into the House of L podcast. I'm Laurence Holmes. Thank you so much for hanging out. It's bear season, man, and we're going to keep doing cool stuff with Chris Emma. You can check him out covering the Bears for The Score. He's nice enough to lend his expertise to House of L. Sir, it has been an interesting 48 hours of Bears stuff. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. We're diving right into it. Like it's been a early start to camp for this team, obviously with the Hall of Fame game, and it's been action packed so far. Which, look, it's an interesting football team, and you're getting kind of right to the talking points of the storylines for this team. So, yeah, here we go. Haven't even gotten to the field yet for a preseason game, and we're already talking about a lot of different things you were ready to see with this team.
All right, so look, when I texted you and I was like, "Hey, Emma, I got to ask you some questions." Obviously, I'm not at practice. You're our eyes and ears up there. I want to go back to Saturday because apparently Saturday and a little bit of Friday was sloppy for the offense. Would you agree?
Laurence, I think Saturday was one of the sloppiest practices in camp I've ever seen. I mean, it was a mess offensively, and mostly with the pre-snap stuff. But my lasting images of that, it wasn't just the false starts, and they had refs out there who were busy that day. But even when they were able to snap the ball, there were a lot of times where it felt like the defense had the snap count ready. And second that ball's gone, you got the edge rushers are flying in, you got a backer in, Caleb's backpedaling, trying to throw it away. Like there was 3 or 4 of those. I mean, it was a mess. It was a complete mess offensively. Not to mention, Caleb did throw a couple picks in 7-on-7. Those were not like Brisker and Bayard. Those were second-team guys he was going up against. So, it was a mess. I would preface it the same way I did after practice. It was July 27th. Like, you still got a long way to go, and this is the time to make these mistakes. But it was sloppy out there.
Is it true that Montez Sweat had to take a couple of reps off because he just kept getting in the backfield?
He kept getting in the backfield and kind of making contact with Caleb Williams. And it wasn't obviously anything vicious. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't even football standpoint of trying to take him down, but you can't bump the quarterback, period. You can't go anywhere near that orange jersey. So Matt Eberflus had Montez Sweat taken on to practice for a few plays, and like you're not going to stop that guy from playing hard, though. He's going to keep getting after that quarterback, and you'll be excited when it's somebody else's quarterback and not Caleb Williams.
Yeah, swatting the ball away on the quarterback is rough because you don't want something to happen to Caleb Williams' hand and have it be something that happened in practice. If his hand hits a helmet or something like that, that's different. But having a defensive player swat at his hand, maybe not. I think it's really well intentioned by Montez, and I think that Caleb is going to have to deal with this, but you don't want him to get hurt in a situation like that.
Yeah, and to your point, Laurence, I feel like it's been a quicker whistle in camp maybe this year compared to others where somebody gets to the backfield and like he's breathing toward Caleb Williams. It's plays dead. It's hear the whistle quickly. Like they're not messing around with that. You don't want to take any kind of chances when you got a guy like that as your young QB, and you got to get every rep you can out of this. So they're taking every precaution there.
Okay, so let's talk about Monday's practice. As we're recording, it's Monday night. How did the practice go inside the bubble today?
It was fine. It's hard to gauge much when they are in the bubble because it's obviously more confined. It's structured differently. You're not able to have the full go effect that you have when you're outside. And today was also supposed to be lighter practice coming off the off day too. I noticed there was more of an emphasis on some of the issues, which I know we're going to touch on, some of the pre-snap issues that they've had, the cadence problems that Caleb Williams is still working on. Some of the pre-snap procedures, trying to get everybody aligned right, trying to avoid those false start penalties that have been far too common so far early in camp. And I noticed a lot more hard counts, and some of it was situational, that end of half thing where you're trying to draw defense off sides, things like that. But I feel like I heard the cadence a lot more from my perch, which was in that upper part of the Walter Payton Center. I took notice of it. Somebody asked Shane Waldron about it, and he kind of said it was more situational than emphasizing what they had issues with, but I think it kind of goes hand in hand there. So, and Caleb Williams did look good today. He had a couple, spectacular plays. The one that stood out to me was a dart to the left corner of the end zone to Rome Odunze in a red zone drill Also had a throw kind of moving out of the pocket and hitting Keenan Allen in stride, which, by the way, Keenan Allen is like everything you want in practice so far, that go-to target for Caleb Williams. So it was a much better day. You felt like they cleaned up a lot of the miscues from Saturday, and onward you go now.
What are the things that you've seen from Keenan Allen that make you feel confident that he's someone that can help Caleb Williams?
He's a savvy route runner. He's so good at understanding where he is in coverage and how he can get open. There's just been so many times where you can sense Keenan Allen might not be that first progression, but Caleb's able to find him. He's going through his progressions, and he needs to make that throw. And there's Keenan Allen just right over the middle or streaking down to the sideline. That guy is everything you need for a young quarterback. I love that they made that trade, and he's a veteran, and you love that veteran presence, but he can still ball out. Like five of the last 7 seasons, over 100 catches. Would not at all be surprised, even for their depth at wide receiver. If it's 6 out of the last 8, he does it again this year. Caleb Williams is going to lean on Keenan Allen big time, and think about just situationally too, not just any other play, but like that money down, third down, when you need to make a throw, you need to extend a drive. Keenan Allen is so valuable to a young quarterback in that kind of spot.
I keep seeing a lot of highlights of Tyler Scott, and I know that we spend a lot of time talking about Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze, of course. Have the highlights told the whole story of Tyler Scott, or is there more to what we've seen?
I think there's more to what we've seen. Got to talk to him a couple days ago, and my question was kind of, well, what's the difference now compared to like the end of last year or the end of your rookie year? And he said the game is just so much slower to him now. And he explained it in detail. I love Tyler Scott. I love the way he explains things. He's great in that media kind of setting. He broke it down. He goes, look, like, I'm able to anticipate now when the ball's coming to me or when the ball's not coming to me. I'm able to recognize coverages more, what I need to do to use that speed to break away. This guy is so talented. Like, he's one of the fastest guys on this team. I think about that track start kind of speed he had coming into the NFL. It wasn't a lack of talent for him. It was struggles to catch on, struggles with some of his routes and assignments, and I think it wasn't working for him. There's a couple costly drops I know that stand out to people, but like for him, it's all about that game slowing down because he's got the speed where he can change a play by breaking open. We've seen it already in practice a couple times where he's able to separate, get away from defenders, and Caleb Williams is able to find him. So I think that's an absolutely massive component for Tyler Scott, is the ability to anticipate things that are coming his way or may not be coming his way, and creating space and creating opportunities for himself in the passing game.
I think I heard this right, but you were probably in the room. Did I hear Velus Jones talk about how one-on-one he's someone that can't be stopped? Because I feel like that was a big statement for a guy that I think has 11 catches or something like that in his career.
Yeah, I was not in the room for that. I chuckled when I heard it there. Look, I love the confidence. That's what you need to. First big step for a guy like that in that kind of spot. Laurence, I don't see him on this roster. I know there's special teams value. The kickoff rule changes things for him, but I can't imagine him making this roster when you look at the depth of the wide receiver role. And you have good alternatives, too, in the return game now. I mean, you brought in DeAndre Carter to be that guy in the kickoff game. I think DeAndre Carter, if he continues to, make some kind of impression in camp, is the guy who beats out Velus Jones. Tyler Scott's emergence in camp certainly makes Velus Jones more expendable. They love this kid. They really do, but they've given him so many chances already through 2 years. I don't see him having a third year with this team.
Wow. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by that either, because they did make a lot of changes and additions. And look, if you're going to have Rome maybe doing punt return too, like that lessens the opportunities that are there for Velus. As we get closer, as we're a few days away from the Bears getting ready to play their first preseason game, what things are you interested in? And I know maybe the first one is whether or not we're going to see starters and Caleb. And I know that Eberflus is going to answer that question tomorrow. But what are you interested in seeing?
Yeah, obviously it's different without Caleb. I would bet against him playing. Just my lean. I think my colleagues on the beat tend to agree with that as well. I think you're getting ready for a lot of Tyson Bagent and Brett Rippon in Canton on Thursday night. Look, everything they've done so far in camp, they've had such a very specific plan for Caleb Williams to structure everything they can accordingly. And I think their thought is we don't want to throw him out there, a week and a half, 2 weeks into training camp and throw him to the wolves, so to speak, when you can structure so many different things in practice the right way. So I understand that. Obviously, you lose a lot of the appeal if it is Bayesian and Rippon leading this offense instead of the number one overall pick. So I want to see if we're able to see much at all of what this offense is going to look like under the watch of Shane Waldron compared to where it was with Luke Getsy. And you're certainly not going to get – you're going to get a very, very, very bland version of this offense. But I'm very curious to see how – because this is the same – offensive scheme that they've had the last 2 years. It's just a different play caller. It's different twist. It's a different mind involved with this here. I'm really fascinated, more so as we get later in the preseason, through different practices in training camp and into the regular season, of how is Trey Waldron going to put his spin on what Luke Getsy's offense used to be. You got the personnel in place. You got so many different tools to work with. This is still a run-based offense, even for all the weapons in the passing game and having a young quarterback. This is an offense that I think is going to run the football really well. And an offensive line I think that people are going to see is going to be much improved this year. So I'm going to be really watching closely to see kind of what differences there are in Shane Waldron's scheme compared to when it was Luke Getsy's last 2 years and how he adapts as a play caller.
Are you going to Canton?
I will not be in Canton. I will not.
Have you ever made the trip?
No, that is not my bucket list. I've never done Cooperstown either, so I got to knock out both of those Hall of Fames.
Yeah, I really like Canton. I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to. And granted, I was there to see Urlacher go into the Hall of Fame, and that was a fun thing to go and report. But yeah, man, like it's going to be fun. And this, you know how it is, man. The city's going to be so ready. Even if it isn't Caleb Williams, the city's going to be really ready just to watch guys wearing the Bears uniform do their thing.
Let me hit with a Devin Hester story here while we're on the topic, because I'm fired up, like so happy for Devin Hester. Obviously, all those guys, Mongo and Peppers as well, but Hester, like, you know, I grew up in the area. I grew up in the Burbs. Grew up watching the Bears, obviously, like everybody else. Like, Devin Hester is obviously that guy. So 2006 was his rookie year, 2005. I was a sophomore in high school, and I was getting involved. I was very interested in the media game. I wanted to follow this track and make a career out of it. GTV, Geneva High School, our TV studio, very involved with that. And we were shooting big. Like my buddy and I, Joe Fleming, shout out Joe, was at practice a couple days ago. Like had big aspirations for a high school TV station. And my sophomore year, we made a call. I don't even know how we arranged this, but we got to interview Devin Hester. We got him in Geneva. He was at a Dick's Sporting Goods thing. If I remember right, and Joe has told me this story, his version of it, but I feel like we as high school TV kids kind of just bombarded like the Devin Hester room at Dick's Sporting Goods. And we did an interview with him, and he was fantastic. It was incredible. It was so cool for us. I mean, I don't know if GTV's had anything bigger than that, but certainly not in our day. It was incredible. We got to interview Devin Hester as high school sophomores, and it was the coolest damn thing for us.
Do you remember anything from the interview?
I remember it was the first time he had ever seen snow. It snowed horribly that day. It was like December, late in the year. He's a rookie at the time, and he was just blown away by snowfall. And I had like tons of snowfall that day, too. So that was a highlight of it for sure. And I remember we got yelled at by our teacher for kind of bombarding the room at Dick's Sporting Goods, but we didn't care, man. It was a highlight of our lives. It was unbelievable for us.
Yeah, but that's a good place to end things, man. I love that you have that story and in your pocket. What a great memory to have, man. Well, as always, we appreciate you on House of L joining us. Phenomenal stuff.
Take care, buddy.
That is Chris Emma, man. He is I love that guy. What a great story. Let me fix the light for the people that are watching this thing. I apologize. It just got real dark over here, strangely enough. It's still daytime. Hang on. All right, so there's my rendition of Girl from Ipanema. So yeah, it it's definitely got dark in here, and now it's brighter. But now, of course, it'll beam down on my shiny head, which is continuing to lose follicles at a rapid pace. I love Devin's stories, and it was fun for me because I got to cover his entire career as a Bear, and getting to meet this shy kid that he was in 2006, and now seeing this father, like out there with his son. It's great. It's great. I'm so happy for him. I'm happy for Julius Peppers. I'm really happy for Mongo. Dan Hampton was my radio partner for a little while, and I still love the Man in Black. He's a good man and a really great partner. Even the show didn't work, but it wasn't because Hamp's not great. It just was probably the wrong time for us. But the stories he would tell about Mongo and playing with Richard Dent and playing with Walter Payton, I feel like Steve McMichael got overshadowed because there's so many great players on that 85 defense that he got overshadowed. And now I feel like he's getting his due, and I'm glad he is. I know that all the people that love him are too. So I'm very happy. If you're making the trip down to Canton, I know that you're going maybe for the game and you're going to stick around because of the inductions on Saturday. Make sure you go to the museum. I promise you're going to love it. I promise. It'll be a good time. All right. I told you we're keeping these short and sweet, unless something crazy is going on. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you putting up with the bad lighting. Luckily, Emma had good lighting. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, that's right. The House of L podcast, we're now doing stuff on the House of L's YouTube page. So if you're listening on an audio file, whether it's Spotify or Apple, thank you. You don't have to change anything if you don't want to. But if you want to see the show a little bit, you can. And now people can see all the stuff on my bookcase and all of that good stuff. I'll have a review of Deadpool and Wolverine at some point. I went and saw it this afternoon. I'll put my thoughts together and then we'll do something. All right? Cool. Talk to you next time. Peace.